This is a story about education that unfolded over 30 years ago in 1989. In 2019, according to the University Impact Rankings released by Times Higher Education, Tzu Chi University was ranked 67th among over 400 universities worldwide, 10th in Asia, and top in Taiwan. Assessed against the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, Tzu Chi University stood out in good health and well-being, responsible consumption and production, reduced inequalities, and partnerships for the goals. The results have proved that Tzu Chi University's efforts to attach equal importance to academic performance and moral character have paid off. The first school Tzu Chi set up was a nursing college. When Tzu Chi's first hospital opened in Hualien, eastern Taiwan in 1986, it was very difficult to recruit nurses there. Moreover, during those years, many children from poor families did not have a chance to go to school. To solve both problems, Tzu Chi set up a nursing college in 1989. 5 years later, in 1994, Tzu Chi Medical College opened. By 2000, with the setup of kindergartens, elementary schools, secondary schools, and a university, Tzu Chi's complete education system was in place. As the founder of Tzu Chi, Dharma Master Cheng Yen often says, education is a lifetime mission. So supporting children on their path to a wholesome and promising future is very important. At a ceremony to honor the 30th anniversary of Tzu Chi's mission of education, a student shared just how Tzu Chi has helped her grow every step of the way.
照片中，这就是我所生长的环境。可能大家会疑惑，在这样的环境下，要如何安心的去读书？那这一切都要感谢慈济。我本身是慈济的受助户。 不管是在物资上，还是在心灵上，我都得到很多的帮助。那在学校也有很多的资源，让我现在已经从五专毕业，升上2技。那也很感谢慈济，在学业上，还有在家庭上，都帮助我很多。
Looking back, it may seem that the reason Tzu Chi set up schools was to simply nurture medical professionals for its hospital in Hualien. However, as a spiritual leader, Master Cheng Yen's vision is far greater than that. To the Master, it is way more important to instill moral values and character in children, and to help them develop correct views and conduct. To this end, the motto of all Tzu Chi's schools, loving kindness, compassion, joy, and equanimity, is mindfully woven into the academic and extracurricular activities of all students. Through this approach, it is hoped the students will learn to cultivate character over talent. The anatomy class at Tzu Chi University is going to begin. Before the class, medical students bow respectfully to the bodies they are going to learn from for the semester. These bodies were donated by those who had signed up for Tzu Chi University's body donor program when they were alive, and are used in anatomy class or surgical simulating training. As the body donors teach medical students and doctors without words, they are referred to as silent mentors at Tzu Chi. The man singing was Tzu Chi volunteer Li Guoming. In 2010, he passed away due to lung cancer. His family followed his final wish and donated his body to Tzu Chi. When he was hospitalized in his final days, he still did his best to entertain other patients. This was Chen Congnin, who suffered from leukemia. In the final stage of his life, he moved to a palliative care unit and prepared himself for body donation.
既然我们要帮我真正的去做老师，我们来做这些无益良师。
Tzu Chi's body donor program started in 1995, 1 year after Tzu Chi Medical College was set up. As of early 2021, over 40,000 people had signed up to donate their bodies to Tzu Chi. Among the nearly 1,000 bodies that have been used, around 80% of them were Tzu Chi volunteers.
我没有很确实的想过我未来会成为什么样的医生，不过至少我会不辜负师长们，或是病人们，或是大体老师的家属们和大体老师对我的期望。
At the end of a semester, the anatomy class also draws to a close. The students again pay respects to their silent mentors and bid them farewell in gratitude. What the students take away from this class is not merely knowledge about the workings of the human body, but also a sense of love, respect, and gratitude.
老师，我是伟林。先谢谢你3年级的时候愿意奉献自己的身体，有这个机会在你身上学习。
In 1999, Taiwan was hit by a major earthquake. Seeing how many schools in the disaster areas were damaged, Master Cheng Yen was very concerned about the children's education. So, after its emergency relief efforts ended, Tzu Chi took on the responsibility of rebuilding over 50 schools destroyed by the quake. To this day, over 200,000 children have graduated from the schools that Tzu Chi helped rebuild after the quake. In 2014, Tzu Chi went a step further to help schools around Taiwan rebuild old and unsafe buildings. Over the years, more than 500 classrooms in 26 schools across Taiwan have been built or rebuilt, allowing over 14,000 children to study in a safer environment. Apart from Taiwan, Tzu Chi also reaches out to other parts of the world, including impoverished areas in China, Iran after the 2003 Bam earthquake, and Sri Lanka following the 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami. In many cases, it is disaster or poverty that brings Tzu Chi volunteers to a new place. But as they carry out relief, they will also look at opportunities to provide educational resources to children. This is because they know deep in their hearts that the hope of a country lies in children, and the hope of children lies in education.
看到我家了。
你家在哪？
那里。
This little girl is Tzu Chi. She lives in Flood Village of China's Guizhou province. As its name suggests, the village is often affected by flooding.
作业都在这里写，这里写。
嗯。
你要怎么写？这里面的数字。
像这里，这样写。
你用这个当小笔啊？
嗯。
那你的铅笔怎么那么短？你铅笔用多久了
？1个月。没有想法就要这样写啊。
In 2002, after Chunzhi's hometown was hit by floods, Tzu Chi volunteers went there to build houses for those affected. Never had it occurred to the cowherding Chunzhi that the encounter with Tzu Chi volunteers would completely change her life thereafter.
春子，你告诉我你长大要做什么？
长大打工。
就像你们用相机定格一样，其实它就在我脑海里面定格了一个画面。当我再次读起的时候，我会有同样的画面重现。 然后我觉得对现在的自己，我觉得还好当初没放弃，对，走过去了就觉得挺欣慰的。
In 2019, at age 20, Chunzhi went to college. Although she didn't choose work over education, as she had wished for when she was little, she knew this was the right decision.
很多师傅都告诉我，有人会打工打得很好，他不能告诉我读书会不会很好，但是他相信我在读书的陪伴下不会孤单。
South Africa, a country once torn apart by apartheid and racial discrimination. In 1994, Nelson Mandela won the first ever general election and became the first black president of South Africa. However, a vast majority of black people still suffered from limited educational resources. In 1996, Tzu Chi volunteers started to provide educational support to the city of Ladysmith. In 15 years, they built 7 schools there. When they found that many children went to school hungry, they began to provide meals and supplies to them and their families. In 2004, many of the children came to Taiwan. On behalf of everyone, a little girl, Tabete Lungelo, thanked Master Cheng Yen in Taiwanese. In reply, Master Cheng Yen encouraged them to study hard and invited them to study at Tzu Chi's schools in Taiwan. Ten years later, in 2013, Lungelo did come to Taiwan. Based on her outstanding academic performance, she was admitted to Tzu Chi University with a scholarship. In 2019, Lungelo graduated from college. Lungelo came from a poor family. She lived with her grandmother and had received Tzu Chi's aid since attending Tzu Chi's school in Ladysmith. Learning that she was going to Taiwan to study, everyone in her village was thrilled. They helped make preparations for her trip and gave her their best wishes.
请施工上人放心，因为施工上人给我们一个很好的礼物，就是教育。我自己以后回来南非，我一定就是会好好的利用他给我这个礼物。如果留在台湾，我还是一样会选择帮助南非这个区块。不管怎么样，留在台湾还是回来南非，我还是一样会帮助我们当地的人，所以上人要放心。
In 2015, the image of a 3-year-old Syrian boy's body on a Turkish beach shocked the whole world. Starting in 2011, the Syrian civil war has forced 5.6 million people out of the country. In Turkey alone, there are over 3 million Syrian refugees. To help support their families, many children have to work or even beg on the streets.
Ben orada çalışırken hayal ettim ki şimdi diyelim ben okuyorum. Ben Suriye'ye dönmek istiyorum. Burada çok sıkılıyorum. Allah'ım ben senden yardım istiyorum. Yardım edecek misin?
To help these children, Tzu Chi volunteers in Turkey visited Syrian families one by one. They persuaded their parents to let them go to school and agreed to compensate their loss by paying them the equivalent of wages made by their children. The happy smiles of children going to school are the best reward for Tzu Chi volunteers. Tzu Chi's aid for Syrian refugees started in Jordan in 2012, Turkey in 2014, and Serbia in 2016. In these countries, Tzu Chi provides refugees with all kinds of aid they may need, and helping children go back to school is the most important project, as children's education cannot wait. In 2015, thanks to Tzu Chi volunteers' effort, a school for Syrian refugee children was set up in Istanbul, Turkey. With the opening of the school, 3,400 children have been able to study again. Following Tzu Chi's example, the Turkish government also set up 180 schools around Turkey. With that, about 350,000 school-aged Syrian children in Turkey are now able to receive an education.
谢谢自己，谢谢自己，谢谢自己，让我们都是我们爱你，爱你。因为我们是一家人，生上起彼此
Be it Chunzhe in China, Lungelo from South Africa, or the Syrian children in Turkey, their young lives took a turn towards a brighter future simply because they were given a chance to continue their education. As a Chinese saying goes, it takes a decade to grow a tree, but a lifetime to nurture a person. With proper support and encouragement, every child, regardless of race, caste, religion, or region, will be able to find their calling and purpose in life and become a useful member of society when they grow up. When a child's life is transformed through education, their family, community, and even the world will also change for the better.